Hey everybody, it is our WWE post-game live show after a Crown Jewel paper or PLE. Keila, what time did you wake up to watch this show?
Promptly at 7:30 a.m. I wanted to skip all of the pre-show shenanigans, made sure my streaming app was working, and I made the right decision.
Yes, that was a good decision. Though I am not surprised. Surprised not the right comment here. But one of the what I've learned with this new ESPN service is they are padding these shows with actual commercials and
Yes.
well, not even commercials, but commercial breaks. And so I do wonder if the way to watch this in the future is to kind of leave yourself a little bit of padding so that, even if you're 10 minutes behind, at least you don't have to sit through a 3-minute commercial. But then maybe it's an excuse to go to the restroom. But also, there's lots of excuses to go to the restroom on these shows. I think I was at 3 matches done at the 2-hour mark. So there's lots of padding that is non-wrestling stuff on these shows. You are a sports fan, and is it wild to you that ESPN is where you get to watch your WWE yet? Is it still wild, I guess I should say?
It's still very surreal because we made jokes about it for so many years that WWE wanted that Disney money and it actually happened. And it's weird watching ESPN Sports Center specifically at night after midnight, and they're doing entire recaps of Monday Night Raw and SmackDown with voiceovers from Michael Cole to recap the show, then tell you, oh, by the way, be sure to buy our show on that app that's now enhanced for our show on Saturday. Lots of promotion. Is very, very odd to see WWE showcased almost every night on Sports Center after these post shows.
That is wild. And when I'll tell you my history with ESPN. So you are not as old as I am, so you would never have this experience. But I can remember, gosh, I'm trying to think of like the exact year. It would have had to have been at least 83 or 84 when I would have started watching ESPN, or at least have memories of ESPN. And if you would have told me, when I'm first getting into WWE, that at one point I will be able to watch WWE or WWF at that time on the same channel that is, running college hoops and Chris Berman. Like, imagine Chris Berman in his heyday giving nicknames to all of these wrestlers. Like, it would have been fantastic. It would have been, that would have like crossed my worlds as a kid. So like, it would have been out of this world to do so. But now it kind of fits. I really think it fits in the culture of what ESPN is to have WWE there. Like, I can even remember, I want to say it was the Attitude Era where they did a commercial, those old Sports Center commercials. I think they did one with Austin where this is like Dan Patrick, like cracking him in the back with the chair or something. And that even then, that was kind of mind boggling. So to see them as partners now, it makes a whole lot of sense because I think the content actually crosses over very well with ESPN. It's entertainment and sports. That's in the name originally, in the name of ESPN. Entertainment was first, so they fit very well. And so yeah, I hope that they can be a little bit of a driver for this unlimited app. I think the app is great, by the way. I got to
Mhm.
watch a lot of the WNBA playoffs through the app, and they have like these little things. If you watch it, like you can watch it on your whatever, your Apple TV, and then you can watch the app there, and they have some nice little features that you can pull up, and then you can bust out your iPad at the same time, and it kind of keeps a running clock of substitutions and stuff, so you have this like nice little companion. I don't think they're doing anything with wrestling at this point yet, but in the future I could see some interesting stuff. If you wanted to get like a running chat or a running dialogue or someone live blogging things as they happen on this second screen, I could see them utilizing that. But so the reason why I brought that up is because WrestlePalooza happened, And there were some very interesting things on that show on paper that I thought, man, this is really the perfect first ESPN show, because you have Brock Lesnar, who's got that UFC crossover. You have the return of AJ Lee. You have CM Punk, one of your biggest stars, Seth Rollins, Becky Lynch, giant stars, Cody Rhodes, giant star, John Cena, obviously. And then the actual show happened, and I was really disappointed, because the pomp and circumstance that WWE really stands for, that show was flat when it came to a lot of that stuff. It was just kind of like a bunch of matches. And so I thought, okay, now we got the second show. I've talked on a couple of different shows that I thought that they really needed to have a better show with Crown Jewel. And I think they did. Like, I think we both agree that this show was better than WrestlePalooza. But at the same time, I'm waiting for that thing to happen at the end of this show, so that come Monday, I'm like, oh man, I gotta maybe I actually have to watch Raw live. Nope, nothing happened. I'm good. I can watch Raw on my normal, 12-hour delay or whatever. I think that's still missing from this product, this PLE product. Not that every PLE has to be WrestleMania with the culmination of things and the news coming out of it, but I do think you need one nice hook, whether it's a surprise, whether it's a storyline, whether it's a cliffhanger, to set up the next week, because you're telling people that these shows are special. And then what ESPN has delivered so far, 2 shows in a row, I was like, oh, this kind of reminds me of what they were doing on Peacock, and it was a lot cheaper on Peacock. So I really hope that they kind of dig their heels in with this opportunity, because ESPN is ESPN. I actually think they have less viewers on ESPN right now because of what Keila and I were talking about off air, which is that she still doesn't have access to her Xfinity login through the app. So she's actually got to physically pay $30 a month. And if you're paying $30 a month for these shows, they're kind of like $10 shows, right? So far.
They are. And I was paying nothing for Peacock because I was a platinum user of
Go.
Xfinity. I was getting free content from WWE, and now I'm paying more money than I have since the creation of the WWE network, 11 years ago? And now that's pretty much gone. So you're asking fans to spend a lot of money to watch your shows, and you have to deliver really good shows that would give me more incentive to pay $30 every month. Thankfully, with ESPN app and all of the sports that's attached to it, I will get my money's worth. But if I'm buying specifically for WWE, at least once a month, I really want a good show that makes me want to continue to spend the money until they make a deal with Xfinity.
And the reason why I brought up that you were a sports fan when we start talking about this is because of that. Now, we know a lot of wrestling fans, and wrestling fans are different in their likes and dislikes about other entertainment. And I'm not sure there are as many sports fans who also, or I should say many wrestling fans who like sports as much as you and I do. So maybe they're not necessarily seeing the ESPN Unlimited service for all of its value, because they're mostly watching it for WWE. And if that is the case, then yeah, I do not think these first 2 shows have been worth your $30 for those of you who are. But then again, WWE fans seemingly still, they're still buying the tickets. The tickets are more expensive than ever. You have to have a subscription to Netflix, which is almost as much as the $30 that I'm paying. But at least there's other stuff. My wife and I are watching. Shout out to Love Is Blind. We're on episode 3. If for anyone who's a Love Is Blind fan, where's Lady B? Man, Lady B should be in this chat. And then also, like you said, Peacock. Some people do get it free ingested into their cable. And then you need SmackDown for cable, and broadcast. You have NXT if you are an NXT fan. So those are a lot of buckets that you have to have subscriptions for or pay money to see all of this product. And if ESPN's PLEs are the tippy top of the WWE content business, these shows need to be a little bit more than they've been these first two. So that is kind of my thesis as we go through Crown Jewel here. By the way, shout out to your Atlanta Dream. Pretty darn good season. Fell short. Shout out to Alicia Gray, and Brittany Griner, but pretty good season, I would say, for your Dream.
Yeah, we really had a good season. I am very saddened how it ended. Heartbreaking fashion to
That
the
was tough.
Fever. It was a tough loss. I need all games for the WNBA to be 7. This is very unfair. I think we need more games. Now, unless you're the Aces who won like their 3rd championship in 4 years,
Yeah.
you love 7 games now because you get to sweep quickly and
Yep.
go home and chill. So give me all 7 games for all 4 rounds. I'm good with that. If we expand the field moving forward.
Yeah, the Valkyries in that first round to Minnesota, who unfortunately, and don't worry, this will not turn into WNBA podcast. Unfortunately for the Valkyries, they were kind of ready to win game 2, and the Lynx were like, nah, we're not letting the newbies win. We're gonna come back and take it from you. But yeah, the whole experience this season was fantastic. I do wish the finals was a little bit more competitive. 2 of those games were awesome, by the way. But then Satu Sabali gets the concussion, and they have some tough sledding in game 4, and just aces, man. Asia Wilson, she's now. I'm starting to hear GOAT conversations about Asia Wilson.
She is the greatest of all time. I will say that. 29 years old, the resume speaks for itself. She can retire tomorrow, and she's a Hall of Famer automatically.
Absolutely. And then you see the power couple with her and Bam celebrating together. Like, not to put any pressure on them to have any kids, because Asia's still, she needs to put up some, she's putting up her numbers to put on that mantle for that Hall of Fame. But if they eventually do, I'm buying stock in that kid as a hooper for sure.
That's the number 1 draft pick in the year 2055. Easily.
All right, let's get into the show. Shout out to Fernando, by the way, who is hanging out with us as he is often, which we appreciate so much. So, Keila, also, I just want to mention that you and Scott are doing the wrap live on YouTube. It started a couple weeks ago. So Tuesday evening, you and Scott are live after NXT, and not saying that, not putting you on the spot here to say that it's going to happen every week here on out forever and ever and ever, but this is a nice opportunity for you guys to do the live show and get folks like Fernando hanging out. So far so good, and we'll keep that going. So if folks enjoy Keila, our WWE expert here, and Salty Scott, check them out Tuesday. We're putting up the stream sometime Tuesday afternoon, and they're going live after NXT, and then we're also putting up the podcast after that. So just folks who are wanting more content, our WWE show, The Wrap, is now live streaming on YouTube. Okay. I usually don't like going in order on shows like this. I like to kind of like, what are the takeaways? What are the main takeaways on these shows? And really, because of how these five match WWE PLEs go, in the WWE ecosystem, all of them are sort of important, but at the same time, like I mentioned at the top, there wasn't a lot of like surprises or news or anything where we're like, lead story on this show is X. So we're just going to go through the matches in order. We'll do what we thought was the best and worst match. And then at the end, I want to save winners and losers coming out of this show for WWE. So the opener was one Bronson Reed against Roman Reigns in an Australian street fight. And lo and behold, I know a lot of people had wanted it to happen, but I don't know if people necessarily thought they were going to pull the trigger here. Bronson Reed got the dub. This was less of a... This was like more of a sort of like a Raw angle, like just an extended version of something that would happen on Raw to me. And the match was fine. I don't like the Australian street fight. I didn't like that part of it because I think the strength in both Roman and Bronson is that they could tell a really great story inside the ring. Now, in order to get to the finish of what they wanted to do, which we'll talk about in a second, maybe it does have to break down. You could have done a ref bump in a normal match to get where they got in the end. But ultimately, the match was not as good to me as their previous match. But really, what this story was about the outcome, and was about Bronson getting one over on Roman and how they did it. And it leads me to this question, Keila. Like, what inning are we in with the bloodline?
Oh God. Oh my God. You know, I thought the game was over. Last year, we had 9 innings that went 5 years. And then they said, let's go for a whole nother series. And now I'm going to say this very boldly. This is now longer than the Bible. It is. It is longer than the Bible, has more chapters than every chapter written in the Bible. We are now in the book of Revelations, the never ending chapter of the bloodline.
You know, Fernando has a great stat here. And I'm going to guess that it's true, though I'm not thinking in the right headspace to figure this one out. But Fernando says Bronson Reed is the only person to pin Roman Reigns and Kazuchika Okada. I wonder if that is true. Did AJ Styles ever pin Roman?
Oh my God, I don't think he has.
Interesting. That is a great note there, Fernando. I'm sure if we are wrong, somebody will tell us. But yeah, that is an awesome trivia question. Okay, so here's how we got to the finish. Lots of stuff outside of the ring. Roman goes for the running super punch outside, and who hops the barricade? None other than Braun Breaker spears Roman Reigns. So now he is involved, of course, which brings out the Usos, full on entrance and music and everything to signal them coming out. They come out, they rush the ring, and now it is weird. And this has happened a few different times. Advantage baby faces, 3-on-2. Like, what's going on here? We had Roman, we had the Usos, and we had Bronson against Bronson and Braun. And the heels overcame the odds here to win this match. Now, how it happened is they set up a table, and Jay went to spear. Who did he spear? Remind me who he tried to spear, because he actually speared Roman through the table, which led to the tsunami and the pin for Bronson Reed.
I think he tried to go for Bronson and missed.
Okay, so there you go. And now the heat is on. Well, it is on the heels winning. And you know what I really like about this Bronson and Braun Breaker tag team is when it was originally put together, and you're thinking about, Bronson Reed really with Seth and Braun Breaker? Is Bronson Reed here, kind of as the third wheel? They don't care, they don't care about him as much as the other two, but it's actually, he is kind of like Braun Breaker's equal in this group. If you're looking at wins and losses and who takes pins and who's strong, I think they've done a great job with Bronson Reed. So good job by him. And then you had just this drama with Roman, with Jay and Jimmy. And this was a nice little WWE trick. They turned up. I don't know if they turned it up or they just told these dudes to speak louder. But after Roman eats the pin, you can actually hear him verbally arguing with the twins and saying, "I told you guys not to come out. I told you guys not to come out." And Jay's getting upset, and Jimmy's just Jimmy. He just kind of has this quizzical look on his face all the time. That's like the Jimmy face right now. It's just he's got the look. Jay's getting pissed. Roman's pissed. Roman walks to the back, And that is how our bloodline story ends for this evening. Now, I'm guessing we'll get something on Raw, but what are your thoughts on the finish of the match, and then also this now extended bloodline? Is this going to work, do you think? Because I sense that Triple H probably feels like they need another long-term storyline to kind of bring viewership in. I'm sure he sees the house shows, I mean the TV shows are a little lighter when it comes to attendance. Now they're still great, but when you start to see the attendance getting a little bit less, sometimes that could lead to a much quicker downfall when it comes to attendance. But it feels to me like he believes, like, okay, we need another hook to this show, and it looks like let's just do it over again with the bloodline.
Yeah, I feel that way as well. Very reminiscent of what we got maybe 2 or 3 years ago. But this is a more nuanced and mature Roman Reigns, because if this was 5 years ago, he would have gone ballistic on both Jimmy and Jay. He was very calm. He basically said, "People believe I can't do this ish on my own.
Yeah.
I asked you not to come out here. I want to actually work for this, earn it." And then the funniest line, and I'm so glad the mics were turned up when he said, "I love you. I love you. I don't want to see either of you until Christmas."
Not even Thanksgiving.
Everyone said, "Not even Thanksgiving. No, we're going to skip Thanksgiving. Our children will not be trick-or-treating together. I will see your asses on Christmas." And he left. I loved it. I have missed the Roman monologues. I really have. And that was a cherry on top.
Well, he is so important to this product. And I know he's got his naysayers because they don't like the monologues, like you said, or the slowness, the long entrances, and the long, slow storytelling matches. But if you understand the history of the Roman Reigns character, this version of the character is the best version when it comes to his star power, when it comes to what he means to business, and all of that. So I'm, on that end, I'm happy that we are getting somewhat another kind of, because that's kind of what if you think about it, when you have Jay ascending, Jay becomes the world champion at WrestleMania. And now this story between Jay and Jimmy is that, and Roman even said this on television, like, because he won that world title, he and I are more alike than you two. And that was a shot at Jimmy as like, you're just not on our level, so you don't understand how to deal with this stuff. So I thought that was interesting. But we need Jimmy to get mad or buck up or something, man. He needs to yell at somebody, because he's completely getting dismissed in all of this, and he's just taking it.
He's very passive, and that's very surprising to me. And he has to blow his lid at some point, because your brother is dragging you into this mess. And this was actually not your fault, Jimmy. This was your brother's fault tonight. He speared Roman through the table, and he cost his cousin the match. And now you got heat too. I would have went off on Jay for screwing things up. We might get that Monday, but I feel like we do need that big Jim moment to say, "I have seen this song and dance before. I know how this story is going to end." But I do love how you set it up with Roman and Jay basically being equals, but Roman saying, "Hey, on Monday, who's opening up the second hour? It's not you, right?"
Right.
So, like, at least with me, I'm opening shows, I close shows. What are you doing?
Fernando called Jimmy Tito.
Oh my God. Not the Tito. Not Tito.
Oh man, that's a good one. Okay, so yeah, so if there was one thing on this show where I was like, okay, like at least I'm gonna look forward to the next part of this story. I hopefully on Raw. But is Raw is not in Australia again, right?
It is.
Oh my gosh, so it's another early one.
Yes, and ironically, I might be able to watch the first 30 minutes before I have to go to work, and watch the rest when I get home. So at least I'll get like the first 40 minutes in, possibly, maybe.
Yeah, and hopefully they'll open with something about this angle, which would be nice. But yeah, I didn't even think about it. I mean, I'm going to work from home on Monday, so I could throw it on in the background if I want. But all right, so then we got the first of the 2 Crown Jewel Championship matches. Stephanie Vaquer against Tiffany Stratton. I was very intrigued in who was going to win this match because, and we'll get to the Seth and Cody match last. That was the main event. But I think most of us assumed that Seth Rollins was going to win that match. So then it made you wonder, are both of the winners going to be Raw folks, or are both of the winners, or are they going to split it and have one SmackDown? And if they did, then one Tiffany Stratton would be the one who would take this match. And that is not what happened. Stephanie Vaquer beat Tiffany. I thought this was a nice match. I was a little worried about their chemistry just because of late. I think Tiffany's had some rough moments in certain matches, but, you know, not the easiest people to necessarily work with. And now you have somebody who you don't really work with often. I thought they did a pretty good job, but I also thought, man, in like 2 years, they're going to have a match that's twice as good, because this thing didn't even really get out of like third gear. I don't even know if it got to third gear, actually. It was nice moves. These women are very athletic. They're kind like, I think there was a concern, and I understand the concern is like, let's make sure we're on the same page as much as possible so that we don't botch anything, or so that we're not, you know, we're not like in the wrong place in certain moments, because sometimes with these matches, that is what gets going on viral. It's like, oh, look at how bad these women are. So it seemed like there was a focus to, let's make sure that we get through this thing clean. But at the same time, I didn't see really a lot of energy from either of the two, not a lot of emotion, not a lot of like, oh my gosh, like I need to win this thing because, you know, I want to be the best, or I want to be the best of the champions. It was just kind of a match, and I was like, okay, like it was solid, it was fine. I didn't think there was anything wrong with it at all, but I didn't see that passion, you know. I mean, we have Seth Rollins almost thinking that he's a failure because he can't beat Cody. Like, that's how interested he is in winning this match. And on this side, it's like, oh yeah, we're just gonna have a match. So I thought it was lacking that, and thus I my thought coming out of this was, I want to see them wrestle again, and I want to see the stakes a little bit higher, because I bet you we get a better match.
Agreed. I felt like it was a very structured match, and they went out there. They did what they were supposed to do. It was good for what it was. But the thing that was lacking, which is a catch 22 with crown jewel matches, is that unless it's Seth and Cody, what was the story for Tiffany and Stephanie?
Right.
The story was, we're champions. Let's fight for this really pretty championship and see who's the best, and then we'll table it until next year. That's basically what this was. It was a well wrestled match. I did see the chemistry between the two of them, which is very nice to see. I just wish they gave them more time, because I felt like there was more to do. There was more to see. Maybe there was a fear if we went too long, things might have got messed up, but you have to let them kind of work and cook. Stephanie's a veteran out there. She knows what she's doing. Tiffany, when given the opportunity with good opponents, she can rise to the occasion. Let her do that. Raise the stakes of making me feel as if this is the most important match of your career. If you're fighting for this championship that means so much for a full calendar year, make me care. But due to circumstances, Stephanie was champion for 3 weeks. Tiff's been champion for over 200 days. Her reign has been pretty unremarkable for the most part. And when you have that combination, that emotional detachment is natural.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really look. Okay, I'm gonna be negative on fake Dana White here. And the only reason I am is because Triple H likes to say things like, well, if the women want to have another pay-per-view, then they have to prove that, you know, they need to make the fans want it, or whatever, right? And yet, when it comes to some of the storylines for the men's and the women's matches, if you compare them as equal when it comes to thought, when it comes to creating obstacles, when it comes to creating conflict, at times it is clear that the men's programs get a lot more thought put into them than the women's programs. Now, from a business perspective, if you have a CM Punk, you have a John Cena, a Roman Reigns, you're thinking, well, here's our superstars. This is our money. Of course, we're going to invest more in stories for these guys. But at the same time, if you are head of creative, and Vince McMahon would always say this, the one thing we have over UFC is we book the finishes. So you can create the idea, and they've done a great job with Rhea Ripley, by the way. Becky Lynch, depending on the situation, you can actually raise the level of these women by putting them in better storylines, by creating opportunities for them, by putting them higher on the card than second. And a lot of times he just chooses not to do that. Now, I'm not saying his job is easy, by the way, creative. Like they only had 5 matches for this show. They probably have enough talent to have 8 or 9 on every single one of these shows. But at the same time, I just challenge him. Not that he's going to listen to me or anything, but I would like to challenge fans, I guess I should say, to expect more from WWE when it comes to booking some of these women. Because if you want to compare and contrast, Seth and Cody meant a whole hell of a lot, and Stephanie and Tiffany did not. So that would be my comparison there.
And it's facts, 100%. You compare the main event to this match, it's night and day in terms of what the story was. There was no story here. It was a well wrestled match, but emotionally, I was out of it. Very happy for Stephanie. She's had a great year. I think that she deserved the W. And Tiffany, I will say this, the sooner Bianca Belair comes back, the better.
Yeah, that was what I was saying. Was somebody was saying, the argument about Tiffany Stratton, it's out there about whether she's good or not. And like, look, she's a really, really good athlete. She's still very young in this business. But I said her year is much different if Bianca Belair does not get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And it's up to WWE to have somebody ready to be at that level to take that spot. And they have not yet. You have Julia, who you brought in and onto this main roster, and she is, that title, like we thought, okay, when Chelsea Green has this U.S. championship, not that it's a joke belt, but she's there for entertainment. She's there for funny TV content. And then when you have that belt on Julia, who's an excellent wrestler, it's like, okay, let's elevate the title. And it's not done anything with it. It's actually, been de-elevated in a sense, because at least Chelsea Green gets interview time. At least she gets put in matches because she's got this fantastic personality. You put the belt on the really, really strong wrestler, and it's kind of been de-evaluated or devalued. So it's an interesting thing to look at as to, some of the reasons why maybe people feel WWE's a little bit colder than the business would say right now. But okay, let's move on to our third match. And I don't remember when this happened, but there was an interview, or there was a segment with Bronson and Braun, and they were kind of, congratulating each other. And Paul Heyman came in and said something to the effect of like, yeah, when we get back to the US, we'll have a celebration or whatever. I'm guessing that might be for the next TV in the US. And then he said something to the effect of like, unless Seth calls us down, like, we're staying out of this or something like that. And so, I've been watching wrestling since like 1984. I was like, oh, that just means they're going to interfere. And they absolutely 100% did not interfere in this match. Okay. Match number 3. John Cena, AJ Styles. Turn back the clock to 2015, 2016, whenever it was that AJ came into WWE. This was really fun. at the same time, I thought, man, if you wanted to tell people that wrestling was fake, this was the match to do it. Because these guys exposed everybody's finisher in this match to where John Cena would hit the RKO. By the way, that was the white man can't jump version of the RKO. And then kick out. And then AJ would do somebody's finisher, kick out. And I'm like, man, I could just see if Stone Cold Steve Austin was watching this match, he would probably think, you guys better not hit a stunner here. Like, if you guys hit a stunner, it better be the 3 count here, because you guys are kicking out everybody's finisher. You know what this match would have been perfect on? Would have been like a house show where you're just doing it for the fans and you're doing all this goofy stuff that but at the same time, if we're talking about the reception of the match from fans, like it was that throwback match. It was that ode to my WWE fandom of yesteryear. And I saw pretty much universal acclaim as far as how much fun people had watching this match. What were your thoughts on it?
I loved it. It was ridiculous, but I loved it. I smiled, got a little misty at points. Shout out to the Aussie fans, because WWE Shop made so much money in one day because they bought every John Cena shirt. That was the first thing that stood out to me, the shirts. And when Cena saw the shirts, even he couldn't believe, oh my God, the money I have made tonight is incredible. I mean, it was truly a sight to see. Then the match itself, it's like Cena and Styles, they're pushing 50. They're in the twilight of their career, and they just went out there and they just spammed every finisher known to mankind. And I loved it. The Sister Abigail, I thought, was amazing. Cena
that was
did
the
hit
best.
that
That was the best one. I thought that was the best one. The best throwback.
The best throwback. Hit it clean. The fireflies came out. It was beautiful. The funniest part was when the fans chanted 619 and Cena says, you know what, I'm going to go for it. And AJ says, no. I laughed. Like, I love like the improv of like, we're going to do everything we can in this match. And what's great about it is Cena still has at least 20 more finishers to go through between now and his last match.
When he did the first one, which was the Miz's move, the skull crushing finale, I thought, oh, he's just trolling Mike, because Mike wants a match with John, and John's just like trolling him. And then he went to everybody else's finisher as well. Though Michael Cole was on his game, except for one of these, or 2 of these moves, actually. So Michael Cole was calling all these things just out of, he would call it by like, oh, he's got a Boston. No, it is the walls of Jericho. Like, he was doing that thing. And then I think, did AJ do a dead eye? He did. The hangman. And then he did not call that move. I forgot what he called it. And then there was a vertebreaker that AJ did. I wrote it down somewhere. I forgot what he called it, but I'll find it because I wrote the little note in our chat on the Discord. But he called it a move, and I was like, well, that's just kind of what you have to call the move from now on. Is gosh, I had it somewhere. Bummer, I can't find it. Anyways, he calls this move something, and I was like, yep, that's the Michael Cole that I remember. It was like the Vince's version of the what a maneuver kind of thing. But like, he was in his bag because he's like, I've called all of these moves over the last how many ever years, so this is fantastic. I love it. And so it was a very nice throwback match. Sorry, it wasn't during the it was during the main event where I think Cody hit the vertebreaker.
Yes.
And he called it, he just said, goodness. That's all he said. And then Wade Barrett had to actually call it what it was, which is the vertebreaker. So from now on, anyone hits the vertebreaker, I think they should just call it the goodness. But yeah, so total fan service, and I do get that side of wrestling. My favorite moment of last year in wrestling was the Sting retirement, which was complete fan service. Cody beating Roman finally to finish the story. So much fan service in that. And so fan service can work. I think some people might think that this was a little bit over the top and a little silly, but based on the reaction, the live crowd liked it. Based on what I've seen from other people, they liked it. My old school sort of mentalities is kind of like, this is not the right thing. Maybe it's not, but maybe today, maybe that is exactly what the right thing for this match was. So I thought it was ultimately really well done. And look, man, John Cena's got 2 matches left, and we can actually talk about one of them, which was in the Wrestling Observer newsletter. And I asked Dave about this on Friday. Survivor Series, John Cena versus Dom Mysterio. Are you into this?
I am. I think people wanted this match because Dirty Dom is a great heel. And this is a championship that John Cena has never won in his WWE career. You go to San Diego, you go out there at Petco Park, and you have a match. Will it be good? I think it will be. John Cena as a babyface, thank God he turned, because he's been unleashed. There is still a good wrestler in there somewhere. He's older, he's slower, but he still has the mechanics down of telling a great story in the ring. And Dirty Dom is a tremendous heel. And I think that'll be a pretty fun match. Will Cena win? You never know. I mean, you have to put over someone at the end of the run in DC for Saturday night's main event. Who will that be? We heard rumors of possibly a tournament taking place and the winner gets Cena at the end of it. Could be Gunther. You never know. But I'm all for it. I think if you're going to use Cena in this way, you get over Dirty Dom if he chooses to put him over, and then you have your last match, and then that's that on that.
I think I would actually have Cena beat him. And maybe you just make it a non-title. Who knows? Like, if you want to do that, that making it a non-title is actually telling fans how it's going to end. But I think it would be great for Dom, even if he loses the title. And I would have his pops actually help John out, and to have Judgment Day comes out, and then Ray comes out and stops them, and then. And then John beats Dom. I think that would be fantastic, because he's still got the mega title, right?
He does.
So he would still have a championship, and then whatever they would want to do with the Intercontinental Championship after, they could do another tournament or whatever, and figure out who they want to put that on. But I think that would be tremendous, because Dom, like. I wish I had the premonition to know where Dom is in 5 years, like where on the pecking order is he in the business, because I think he has the talent to be a top guy, a top star, but something tells me that he may not be like a Triple H guy necessarily. I don't know. There's something that would stop me from saying he could be, a future top star in WWE. But at the same time, I just love his personality. And I was at one of those first Raws where he started getting all those crazy boos. And I was close enough, because we had those ringer seats, to where I saw him and he's about to speak and those boos are coming out. And he kind of goes like, it was like one of those oh shit moments. He's like, oh my gosh, like what did I do to get all these boos? And it's like, just let it happen. And he just let it happen. And he kept it going. So shout out to Dom. But I do wonder how high they think he could actually go there.
I think if they just trust him, he's on the precipice of something.
Yeah.
And the fans feel it too. If they just uncuff him, I made that pun because he was about that life, got locked up for 15 minutes. But if they just uncuff him and just let him be the guy, I do think he can be one of their top stars, period, in WWE in the next 5 years. They just have to trust it because the fans really, really want it. I know they're like kind of tuggling between, should he be a baby face? Should he be a heel? I think there is a lot of equity and money in him being a baby face when the time is right. But I don't want them to think he can't be that guy, because if you let him loose, I absolutely believe he can be. And the people believe in it. When he had that moment at WrestleMania, people said, no, we didn't boo him because he sucked. We booed him because he's great at his job and we appreciate what he's done to get to this point. He's worked his ass off from where he was 5 years ago as little baby chunky Dom against Seth Rollins to where he is now, mustache, mullet, double champion. The growth is real, and I hope he's rewarded for it with a big push in this company in 5 years.
Yeah, his pops has to be like over the moon proud.
Absolutely. It was a gamble that paid off. He said, start here. We can like forego NXT, and it's paid off. And I know that Ray really saw something in his son, and it has paid off. He should be very, very proud of his boy because he's, I think, exceeded expectations.
And, we could go back to the beginning of AEW. Rey Mysterio is kind of on the outs with WWE, and he's a free agent. He's actually at the very first All In. And he's got to make this decision. He knows his kid wants to wrestle, and I'm sure that was part of the decision to go back to WWE, and that was the right decision because it wasn't really about Ray. Ray's going to get his money because he's a star, but it was really about, okay, my son is on the come up, and where do I want him? Where can I keep an eye on him? Where do I trust him? And AEW didn't have anything yet. They didn't have. Cody had his, I don't even know if Cody had his school yet, but that is a fun kind of looking back decision for Rey Mysterio. The right one, absolutely 100%, because Dom's on fire, and I can't wait to see how they get to Cena and Dom. And I'll say this. This is what is scheduled right now. They could always change their mind, but as of right now in San Diego, it makes a whole lot of sense to me.
It does for me as well. And I just think about Dom has been a presence in WWE for over 20 years. That little kid was a good actor at 10 years old.
Yep.
I mean, truly, he just was meant to be in this business. He can just do anything, even playing a PlayStation back in the day. Wore the t-shirt on Monday Night Raw while playing.
Yes.
Just the guy's just the best. I love him.
All right. My favorite current storyline right now, Rhea Ripley and Iyo Sky against the Kabuki Warriors. I've heard some criticism with the overacting of one Iyo and one Kairi Sane. And I've tried to explain to people, if you watch a novella, if you watch a Korean drama, people can exclaim their feelings differently than what you would see on a soap opera. Like, I was fine with Iyo being so over the top, Kairi being so over the top to actually show us how sad they were. Yes, it was overacting 100%, but I enjoyed it because it was so different from the normal way that story would be told with a Bailey, with a previous Sasha Banks. Like there's different ways to do it, and I liked the way that they did it here, and I've just loved this storyline. Rhea's a superstar, and Asuka is one of the best heels on their roster. She is so great in the ring, in her promos, in bullying Kairi. Like, she's fantastic. And so you had this great thing, and this was the match I was looking most forward to on this show. It was a semi-main event, obviously homecoming for Rhea. And while I don't think this was a 5-star classic, I thought this was a really good match. I thought this was a really smart match. They opened it with old school tag team wrestling, with Iyo not being able to tag out to Rhea. And then when she finally does, and they had the little one-on-one with her and Asuka slapping her right in the face, and Io's taking the shot and taking a step back and then firing back up and then getting slapped in the face again. And I was like, man, they might be overdoing this because I think they may ruin the hot tag. Nope, it was the perfect hot tag. They got the hot tag, and Rhea ran wild. So far, so good. I wonder where they can go from here, because now the Kabuki Warriors have lost. So I'm assuming they're going to get their heat back in some way, because I still want to see this foursome together in some way, shape, or form. What were your thoughts on this match? And also talk about your what you think about the storyline so far.
My favorite story in WWE right now. Who is saying that Kyrie's overacting? That is outrageous. I think she's been fantastic. Her facial expressions, her emotions are on point. Iyo is just adorable. Listen, is it overacting? Absolutely. But I watch soaps all of my life. It is the theater of overacting. You're supposed to be overly dramatic and emotional. They've done a great job via the story. And Asuka, my God, best heel in WWE right now, just killing it. The mannerisms, the swag, the in ring. And Rhea obviously is great as always. And this match is really good. It was not a 5-star classic. It was a solid 4-star match. Great storytelling, old school heat, waiting for the babyface tag from Iyo. And the fact that Rhea Ripley is the hometown hero and she ceded the ring to Iyo to get the W, I thought that was a nice touch. I can see them running this match back. And of course, the money will be in Iyo versus Asuka one-on-one at some point very soon. I do sense Survivor Series War Games. I do sense that coming. I did see the rumored teams for both the baby faces and the heels. Let's do that. And for the 6th year in a row, let's get Iyo and a trash can together, and she flies off something very, very high.
By the way, what do you think of the rumor that Lash Legend is right now at this point scheduled to be in that match?
Illogical because of one reason. Her and Nia Jax have heat. So why are they teaming in this match if this is going to happen? But great spot for Lash if that's the case. That says there is faith in her to make that leap to the main roster.
Yes, I agree. Okay, then we get to the main event. the drama that is Seth. I mean, you want to talk about some overacting here. Like Seth is not subtle at anything, right? And this was very much a Seth at Crossroads kind of match. We've seen this kind of match with him before. He's obsessed with winning, and he cannot take losing. And every expression possible that he has, you're going to see it. And he's really good at doing this. He's an excellent WWE character, but at the same time, I can understand the other side saying that, he overdoes it and there's so much drama and it's always this kind of this one note with Seth as a heel. I could see it might be getting a little tired from that perspective, but I'm of the opinion that he's excellent at it. There's still the CM Punk thing, and he has to be that in the CM Punk feud for CM Punk to be able to be CM Punk. So I'm okay with it. And this was exactly the kind of match that I thought we were going to see, except I thought the finish was kind of funky. Like if we had all of this chaos in the opener just so that Roman could be pinned, Roman is not even the world champion. Cody is the quarterback. He's QB1. He's Jason Street of WWE. And all it takes is a punch with a wristwatch wrapped around Seth's head into the curb stomp. Now, I'm going to call bullshit on the wristwatch knocking somebody out. Look, if we have brass knucks in this business as a weapon, that would have been fine. But even in some matches, I've seen people kick out of brass knucks. We are in a wrestling ecosystem where plunder doesn't stop anybody from kicking out. We just saw John Cena and AJ Styles hit every finisher under the sun, save for the Stone Cold Stunner and the Rock Bottom, and these dudes kicked out of every single one. And yes, Cody and Seth hit a bunch of finishers too. But the wristwatch, the Rolex watch, as the key weapon to end this match was appalling to me. And Seth grabbed the watch, brought it ringside, decided he was not going to use it. Then, in a moment of weakness, decided he needed to use it, knocked Cody out, stomp. And did he do a stomp off the top as well? Is that how he actually finished it?
Yes,
And
stomp off the top rope.
So there's your finish. Stomp off the top rope is actually the finisher, but the kind of the climax was set up by this watch. And Cody took like a bump where it was like he was hit with Triple H's old sledgehammer. That's the kind of bump he took. I didn't like that part at all. I think we needed to protect Cody a little bit more. I would have done Brock Lesnar. I would have done something a little bit more similar to what they did with Roman. I thought this was too simple. I thought Seth would have been even more evilish and more heelish had they had a different way for him to win this match. It was almost like he's trying to be a baby face. Like this, it's like a baby face kind of thing for him to just want to win this match to prove his value. Like, you're a heel, dude. Like, that whole thing. So I didn't like that mixing of heat there a little bit, but the match is good. These guys are always going to have good matches. The Hell in the Cell match is maybe my favorite WWE moment of like the last 5 years, is just Cody with the torn pec and the bruising, and he and Seth just having like that stuff was like masterful. This wasn't that. It was still good. I just didn't like the finish.
Yeah, the finish was weird, and I kept asking Cody for the last couple of weeks, get your watch back. This guy has disrespected you on a number of occasions. He's spat in your face about your friendship. Get the watch back. So technically, this is your fault for not taking back your gift. The finish was dumb. That was not the actual watch from WrestleMania, because that the actual watch has way more bling than that. That was a Timex that Seth used to knock out Cody. And the fact that we saw so many super finishers in the Cena Styles match and this match, and you're telling me that a top rope crossroads couldn't finish off Seth. I was like, Cody, it reminded me of what Roman said at WrestleMania. This move beats no one. It not even from the top rope that you get beat with a Timex watch.
Yep.
That's how you lost. But at least Seth won. He got the monkey off his back. He's very proud of that. These guys do have great matches. If Styles and Cena did not take place, I think this match would have been the match of the night. But unfortunately for them, we had spam 2K25 out there, and you couldn't top that, sadly.
All right, so let's actually talk about best and worst. So to you, AJ and Cena was the best match. I think I would go main event, or I can't go main event because I just didn't like to finish the main event. I'll probably go the women's tag team match, but again, this isn't like a 5-star match versus 3-star matches. It was like a bunch of 3.5 to 4-star matches. And I just liked the tag team match the best. And it was, outside of, was Jessica Carr the referee in this match?
She was.
There were moments where it was like she was the female version of Rick Knox in AEW, where there's just double teaming going on. And she's like, oh, I'm just going to start my count all over again. One, as the double teaming is happening. So that if I have a dislike about that match, it was that just too much double teaming. There was a moment where I think Asuka, who was not in the ring, just ran to the other side to pull Iyo off the top rope. And I guess that's not a disqualification in wrestling in 2025, but I don't think you should do that right in front of the referee. But that would probably be my best match. But I think every single match outside of Stephanie and Tiffany was kind of right around above average to really good. And just depending on your taste of who you like is probably, but the one that's going to be most memorable on 100% is John Cena and AJ Styles for sure. Would you also say that, it wasn't a bad match in any way, but Stephanie and Tiffany maybe the worst match?
Yeah, and it wasn't a bad match at all. I just think they needed more time and a story. And I think it would have been on par with the tag team match and the main event. Just needed a story and needed more time. Those are the two crutches that kind of held things back. But both ladies worked very hard, one of Tiffany's better matches in a while for sure. And Stephanie, as I said before, she's had a really good year so far in WWE, and it's showing via this match and the victory.
All right, let's go winners and losers here. Now, the funny part about winners and losers is in the ecosystem of WWE, like the true winner is probably actually you know who the true loser would be is Triple H in that post press conference when people are yelling about Saudi Arabia while his big head is doing the fake Dana White. But in the ecosystem of storylines in WWE, we'll do our winners and losers. I thought biggest winner of the show's got to be Bronson Reed with the upset of Roman Reigns, who takes a rare pinfall, very smartly so. I thought the booking was so solid here. And then they got two stories across, one that Roman lost and Bronson won. So he's got that. He's the tribal thief. Might as well just take his shoes again. I liked it when he's got the shoes around his neck. And then at the same time, they progressed this bloodline storyline, the sixth inning of the bloodline or whatever. So I thought those two in that one single match, when it comes to the booking, were both big winners because of you got two things going there that I think are very smart and set up things for down the line. Do you have any other winners for the night?
Winners, I would say, would go to Fanatics.
There you go.
For all of the money they made off those John Cena shirts, okay? They had a record-breaking merch day for those shirts. But in all seriousness, John Cena and AJ Styles, I mean, two guys that have had amazing careers, and just to think that AJ's retiring next year on the 10th anniversary of him joining WWE, I think that's fitting. A very nice 10-year run, Hall of Fame career. Obviously, John Cena still reminding us at the end of the road here how good he still is. And that match, for all of the spamming when it came to finishers, was actually a lovely, beautiful love letter to professional wrestling. If you love finishers, you love certain stars, and you love Michael Cole for 85% of the match, correctly calling the finishers for what they were, congratulations. Now, his one faux pas was the fact that when AJ hit a Scorpion Death Drop and you didn't shut out Sting, he is in your Hall of Fame, Michael. Yes, you can say the word Sting. Yes, it's okay.
Yes. He did tell us what his finishing maneuver was, and he wrestled that one match against Jerry Lawler. He said his finisher was the ankle lock.
Yes.
I popped at that one. That was good. He was thinking on his feet there. All right. Actually, before we get to the losers, I was thinking about this because AJ Styles has said he is also going to be done soon. They did this whole year-long thing with Cena, which was smartly so. He's one of their biggest stars of the last, 20 years. Would you want to see something like this for an AJ Styles, or would it be too repetitive to what they just did with Cena? Like, should he get a proper send-off? And what could that send-off be for AJ Styles?
I think he deserves it. I feel it because a lot of people have grown to appreciate AJ Styles. And I don't think he realizes how beloved he is. So I do think he does deserve a retirement tour. Should it be as big as John Cena's? No, because I don't want set dates. I don't want a countdown of I have 30 dates left. I want this to kind of be like a fun farewell. Let's just go with the flow. And if it ends in 2026 on that last month of the year, cool deal. So for me, I don't want it to be as elaborate, but I do want that same nod of respect and appreciation that you are seeing someone who is one of the greatest to ever do it bow out gracefully and give him his dream matches along the line. And please, pretty please redo Styles and Nakamura properly before they both go home.
It would be nice to see something because, he didn't come from there, and so that may be part of the problem. Obviously, he was in TNA forever. He went to New Japan. Once he kind of became the top guy in New Japan, which predated the Kenny Omega run, then WWE was finally interested in him, and they brought him and the Good Brothers over. I would like to see something, but it's just he's kind of she's always really been in the shadow of Cena when it comes to that like wrestling star. And the hardcore fans knew AJ Styles. They knew who he and Samoa Joe and Christopher Daniels were. But that WWE audience, they may have heard about him, but it wasn't until he showed up. And I remember I was at a house show in San Jose. It may have been his actual first WWE match. If it wasn't his first, it was definitely in like the top 2 or 3. I think it may have even been against The Miz. And it was incredible because from my memory, like the house show audience didn't really know him that well, but then when he came into the Royal Rumble, like it was very clear, like that audience knew who he was, and he got really celebrated. But being in Cena's shadow, you know what it kind of reminds me of is, remember when Paul Pierce was about to retire, and Draymond Green kind of was like giving him the business from the sideline. He's like, they don't love you like Kobe. And that's kind of the thing, right? Is AJ Styles is just in this shadow. So if he does do something, it's kind of also in the shadow of Cena's retirement, which they're just doing on a big level right now.
Yeah, but I do think that the appreciation for Styles, to make that wild comparison to Paul Pierce, I think it's a bit more equal. Like there is like an actual love and appreciation that I think even AJ doesn't fully realize until he really sees it from the people. Because I think he underrates his career a bit. Like, I did great stuff. I think that he's one of the best to ever do it. And I believe a lot of fans believe that too. And they want to go on the journey and appreciate it. If WWE doesn't overdo it, just let the guy go out there, wrestle, kick ass, and then retire in peace. I think that'll be the play.
He's great. He should be celebrated. And he won WWE titles. Like that's how highly they thought about him. So, all right, now let's go to the losers. Now, again, remember, this is a little bit in storyline. I'm not sure if I'm by the way, giant Jey Uso fan, right? Like I've been talking about this dude for years and years and years. I always thought the Usos were kind of underpushed, and then he gets to be in the bloodline, and Jey gets some focus, and he gets the match with Roman, and you kind of see like, oh, maybe he's going to be more than just the tag team brother. And then he wins the Royal Rumble earlier this year, and I'm just so into it. I'm at the second ever Netflix Raw, and just kid after kid after kid is yeeting all over the place and doing the yeets hand sign, and they're not necessarily on rhythm when the song plays, but just you could just tell that there was a moment, and it was really going to be about how he dealt with it, how he handled it, and how far they were going to go with him. And he does beat Gunther at WrestleMania to finally win that title. But I sort of sense like you can almost see it in the Unreal documentary, right? Where Triple H is like, brother, you got to get your wind up, man. Like you can't be tired by the time you get to the ring, and because you still have to wrestle the match. And then his promos did not hit it out of the park with me. You could tell there was a lot of overthinking in what he was going to say. And he's trying to do this like rhythm and rhyme to his stuff, which when he and Jimmy do it together, they're like on fire. But when he was doing it himself, he's like repeating stuff. You can tell he's like, what it reminded me of is like a rapper who's trying to freestyle, and they have like a word that they can't think of. So you can just kind of tell they said the thing that wasn't really the punchline that they wanted. That was Jey Uso's promos as a solo to me. So now we get this different version of Jey, and Roman is involved. And all of a sudden, to me, he's no accountability Jey Uso. He is complaining. He is making excuses. He's throwing his brother under the bus when all his brother does is support his selfish ass. So Jey Uso, my big loser of the week, not only does he spear Roman into the table to lose the match, when Roman's like, bro, I told you not to come out, he's like, nah, Roman's selfish. I'm out of here. Come on, dude. You got to take some responsibility for what you just did.
Listen, Jay's been on my list for a minute. Not gonna lie to you. Ever since he's lost this championship, he's been a big baby. He's been selfish. He's been gaslighting his big bro Jim, the disrespect. And then Roman tells your ass, what are you doing at the top of the hour? Nothing. And then you still come out here when I tell you not to. You go against my wishes. You cost me my match. And now I don't want to see you and your dry turkey for Thanksgiving. I will see you on Christmas with a lump of coal as your gift. So yeah, Jay's on my list too. He is a perennial disappointment for the last couple of months. You've lost matches on Monday Night Raw. Roman had to bail you out of trouble, and now this. So yeah, Jay, you are the biggest loser. Goodbye.
I want to see. They need to have a camera for the family Christmas, where Roman's giving out gifts and gives Jimmy like I don't know, something really cool for Jimmy to watch, or something expensive, and then Jay just gets like a OTC t-shirt or something. Like just so he gets so much more mad at Roman. That would be hilarious. All right, do you have any losers coming out of this show?
Besides Jay, who I just buried, let's see, who else is a loser? Tiffany, she's a loser. She's a loser. A loser because her streak ended.
Yeah.
She's 17-1 now for the year.
They didn't even really make that big of a deal of that from what I remember.
Yeah, they made a big deal about the streak being undefeated. Then you don't make a big deal of her losing her first match of the year, and losing the match really basically would have made her the crown jewel of 2025. So yeah, she's a loser in that regard. I think that it's been a rough stretch for Tiffany as of late. The matches haven't been as great. This was a decent outing for her tonight, but as I said before, Bianca Belair cannot come back fast enough to kind of salvage things, because I think that she needs her to really get back on track, and I need Bianca to get this championship.
Do you know the story of Ronnie Lott, former 49ers cornerback and then safety? He's playing a game in the playoffs, I think, and his hand gets caught up in somebody's face mask, and his finger gets dislocated. And so, they're basically telling him, like, dude, you have to have surgery on your hand. And if you have surgery on your hand to repair this finger, you're going to be out for a specific amount of time. And he's like, no, just cut off the tip of this finger. And they cut off his finger so that he could keep playing football. Like, I kind of want to cut off my finger and just give it to Bianca. Like, whatever the problem is with her hand or her finger, like, let's solve this, because she's been out for so long. And in one sense, I miss her. So when she does come back, it's going to be awesome, but they need her big time right now.
She is sorely missed. When I saw the finger, how bent it was, like in July, I said, oh no, she's not coming back anytime soon. Because I feel like OT, occupational therapy, she's got to get her grip back. She's got to get her strength back, the range of motion, all of that. So she really smashed that finger up good at WrestleMania. Freak accident. It's going to take some time to heal. If she went the surgical route, I think the wait might have been even longer. So I guess she's waiting for that bone to fully heal. The word is she's close, but at this point, we just better off and wait until the Warrior Rumble, honestly, at this point, because there's nothing else to really do in the year 2025 here. Got the Royal Rumble in Saudi. That's going to be an event.
Yeah.
We're going to have 30 cat suits out there. So she'll be out there. And I think at that point, why not? Because we're basically at the end of this year and not much to do there to close out 2025.
I did have a moment when I started watching this show, and it was like Stephanie was in her normal clothes. Tiffany was in her normal clothes. And I was like, wow, like this is, Saudi Arabia is actually lightened up on the whole thing. And I was like, whoa, it's in Australia. That's why. I got confused for a second.
Listen, all this money they're making for WrestleMania, hey, you can at least give us arms heading into next year.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But so what's so weird about the finger thing though is I've actually dislocated my finger in a car accident and I didn't even realize it. But it's crazy because I'm holding up my pinky. It's not really straight anymore, but at the middle joint, it kind of went perpendicular on me, and they just kind of just moved it, popped it back in. And so it's just wild that some finger injuries like that, like my hand hurt for 2 or 3 weeks where, it was hard to type or whatever. But other than that, it was like fine. But then her thing is like taking forever. So it's just, unfortunate bad luck when it comes to stuff like that. The only other loser I have on this is PLEs, man. Like I'm trying to remember how much I liked SummerSlam, but I don't think I've really been super duper satisfied with the PLE in some time now. And I don't know if it is the actual product. I don't know if it is my expectation of the product. I don't know if it is, and there's a little bit of a bias because I was in Vegas WrestleMania weekend and I just got the ick from how WWE fans were acting and how WWE was so pompous about stuff. And so I don't know if it's that, but I don't think this has been a strong PLE year for them. And I hope that they pick it up because I think these shows need to be valuable. We need to remember these shows as like great. Like I can still remember that Backlash in Puerto Rico with Bad Bunny. Like that is something that I will never forget when it comes to a PLE because that thing outkicked the coverage of what I thought it was going to be. I mentioned the Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins Hell in a Cell match. Like that match is so memorable. I'm not sure what I'll remember from 2025 when it comes to the PLE stuff.
I think you're making a good point. I kind of called this at the top of the year that for as high as they are in WWE, I always felt at some point that balloon is going to let out all the air and we're going to come back down to earth. The booking, the creative has been very suspicious since WrestleMania, even before then with the Cena turn. In the beginning, it was a good idea, then it fell apart. And Paul Levesque, the book, all of it has not been great this year. And that's resulted in some pretty so-so PLEs. My favorite PLE of the year was Evolution. I thought that was a very good show. SummerSlam was solid. The show was good too. But for the rest of the year, I just felt like it's been a pretty year for WWE. I said at the top of the year that AEW would be on the ascent in terms of getting their stuff together creatively. That has come to pass. And with that, WWE takes a step back. There's an opportunity to kind of correct things heading into next year, but their bread and butter for the last 2 or so years were the PLEs, were the storytelling. That has taken a dip. And now I wonder to myself, are you writing for the fans or are you writing for WWE Unreal? Because you can't have both. Because now I'm wondering, is this for your reality show that you're writing or is it for us to enjoy? So they have to definitely fight these two competing ideas and find a sweet spot that gives the people what they want, because now you're asking us as fans to spend a lot of money in person and now you're asking us to spend a lot of money out of pocket for ESPN.
Yeah, if I go back, I think Elimination Chamber was my favorite PLE, but then I was also one of the few people who did not like Cena turning heel. And I just thought it was the wrong move. I thought it was reactiveness to Cody not wanting to join The Rock, in Cody, the real life Cody Rhodes saying, I don't know if I want to turn heel right now. And so the reaction was John Cena. And I was like, no, this is not the time to turn this dude heel. He's finally universally cheered by this fan base. And it's the wrong thing. And then we had to deal with the heel John Cena, which was a long several months for WWE TV. So like that was my favorite one, but then like it left a bad taste in my mouth with that angle. So yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm sure if we put all the matches from SummerSlam, you could probably make a pretty good, memorable card. But again, I'm just, because WrestleMania in LA, great. WrestleMania in Dallas, I remember that show being pretty good. Both nights of WrestleMania in Philadelphia were solid, but just this last year in Vegas, I thought both nights were lacking. So maybe it's really about WrestleMania for me. But anyway, all right. So you and Salty Scott will be up Tuesday talking all of the things in WWE with the live episode of The Wrap. So folks who are listening to this or watching this, check our YouTube channel for it when that stream is up, and you can click that little notify button. They also will take super chats if you want to get a question in or a comment and you throw up a super chat, they will take that. And then for me, Paul Fontaine and I will be back on Takedown on Monday. We don't often go live. I just throw the video up because we kind of record early, and I don't imagine there's that many people who are going to be checking us out live. So, but that will be up Monday evening on YouTube, Monday evening and Tuesday morning on our podcast feed. And yeah, just we're keeping it rolling. So thanks for hanging out, Keila, on a Saturday evening after a very early morning pay-per-view. I don't know what else you got to do today. Hopefully you got to do something fun on your Saturday today. Shout out to Salty Scott. He wanted to join this, but he had work stuff to do as well. But you can listen to and watch Keila and Salty Scott on Tuesday. Anything else, Keila, before we get out of here?
No, that is a wrap. A pleasure as always. Thank you, Fernando, David, always providing some interesting news and insights into the chat. Scott has fun with him every Tuesday. It's not like a running joke on our show.
We love it. Love it.
The JC Jane injury, I don't know the severity of it. Hopefully, it's nothing too bad. But
we'll probably find out on Tuesday. So David actually said JC Jane suffered a nasty injury. I think it was at a house show, an NXT, a rare NXT house show. And it looks like it was maybe a quad that they had to put her on a stretcher to take back. And unfortunate because she's had a pretty strong year herself. I think she's turned a lot of heads who in those 2.0 days, she kind of seemed to be the cookie cutter kind of person who they were pushing. And then she's been there for a while. And I think she's really stood out in a very good way, like in a way where I'm like, okay, now I can actually see her do something on the main roster. Because I've always thought she had a good look and a good personality. Mm-hmm. Not the best wrestler, but the wrestling is good enough, I think, to where she could do something on that main roster.
It's caught up, good character too. Could be a really great heel champion.
Yep.
On the main roster if she's hopefully not too injured.
I mean, replace Kiana James with JC Jane in that role that they're doing, and it's probably improved, right? Not that Kiana James is bad. Like, I've always liked Kiana James, but JC Jane's personality, I think she'd probably kill it in a similar role.
I agree. Just the chemistry with Kiana and Julia is not there. It's like it's just not there. And God bless them. Kiana should be a agent with Chelsea Green. Honestly, that should actually be her role.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Thank you to everybody. Thank you, Keila. We will see y'all soon. For Keila, I'm Double G. See you when we see you. Peace out.